morning. How's everybody doing today? Chief, you want to come up here too? Yes, I would. Absolutely. Does everybody have a copy of the press release?
No.
Okay. You want to pass that around, please? I think it's important that everybody at least gets a copy of the press release. The press release will be sent out to everyone that usually receives the press release. I just wanted the opportunity to also have this press conference here with the agencies that assisted us. I will actually read a press release that is going out, and then I'll also make some brief statements after that. And when we conclude, if you have any questions, feel free to ask as well.
Do you have a mugshot of Mr. Keller?
Yes, I do. If you are interested in a copy of the mugshot, just leave your email with us before you leave, and the detectives will email it out for you today. People standing up here with me today, to my left is State University Police of New Paltz Chief David DeGacken. To my immediate right is the Ulster County Sheriff's Office Under Sheriff Frank Falutico, and to his right is Town of New Paltz Supervisor, Town of New Paltz Supervisor Susan Zimmett. The New Paltz Police Department reports the arrest of Adam J. Keller, age 19. Mr. Keller was arrested on February 4th, 2012 at 1 a.m. on charges burglary in the 3rd degree, a D felony, 1 count of criminal possession of stolen property in the 4th degree, an E felony. Mr. Keller's arrest concludes a month-long investigation of 20 commercial burglaries in the town and village of New Paltz. On December 29th, 2011, the New Paltz Police Department responded to a reported burglary at the Mud Puddle Cafe in the Water Street Market. In the following weeks, the New Paltz Police Department investigated 19 additional burglary complaints. During this time, the members of the New Paltz Police Department, the Ulster County Sheriff's Office, SUNY New Paltz Police followed up on leads, conducted numerous plainclothes investigations and patrols of our business area in the town and village. Mr. Keller targeted specific commercial buildings that he believed to be either not alarmed or in easy access in order to do these burglaries. He would force his way in through windows or doors, and while in these buildings he would remove cash. Based on extensive field interviews, Mr. Keller was developed as a suspect. Mr. Keller was located Friday evening and brought back to the New Paltz Police Department, where he was interviewed. During the interview, Mr. Keller did make statements which subsequently led to his arrest. At the time of his arrest, Mr. Keller was charged with burglary, criminal possession of stolen property. He was arraigned by Town of New Paltz Justice Jonathan Katz, remanded to the Ulster County Jail in lieu of $100,000 bail. Our preliminary hearing is scheduled for February 7th at 6 p.m., and that will be before the Town Justice James Bacon. This investigation is still ongoing, and additional charges are going to be filed. The New Paltz Police Department was assisted, as I said, by the Ulster County Sheriff's Office and the SUNY Police Department. I would just like to thank the SUNY Police Department and the Ulster County Sheriff's Office for their assistance in this investigation. The manpower that they provided and working cooperation between the agencies proves to be irreplaceable and creates the best possible service to our community. I also want to personally thank members of the New Paltz Police Department for their efforts while on routine patrol or doing this plainclothes detail. They really put a lot of effort and time into it. I also want to especially thank our detectives, Detective Sergeant Rob Mulcahy and Detective Scott Butler. Their dedication and not leaving a rock unturned led to a successful investigation, and I'm confident for a successful prosecution as well. One further thing that I'd like to say, during these burglaries, there was a lot of different evidence that was gathered, linking the suspect to all the burglaries. A big portion of this really came down to also the Ulster County Sheriff's Department office dive team that provided their dive team to recover some stuff out of the Walk Hill River. which, trust me, is not an easy task, even if you like to dive. However, again, as I said, the investigation's continuing, and there's more items that we found out during the interview that needs to be recovered from the river, so we will be counting on their assistance as well to recover more of the property. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes.
Bunch of questions. Numbers. There are 20 incidents. How many did the guy allegedly
I believe
succeed
the
at?
number is 11
11?
successful burglaries.
Okay.
The other ones were attempts.
Okay. And is the kid, I call it a kid, everybody's a kid to me. Did he, is he a local kid?
He is local.
Okay. High school?
At this time, no, he's 19 years of age.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the high school that he went to, but he is from this area. At this time, he doesn't have an address or residence that he's using. He's staying with different friends.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Was he a freshman at New Paltz?
No, he was not a
No.
student at this time.
Okay, a couple different things. Do you have a numerical amount on how much the alleged thefts equate to?
I don't have that number. It wasn't a lot of cash. It was a small amount that was taken each time.
And you alluded to that there would be new charges. So what would they be, or?
The charges that are still pending are just continuing the investigation. As it states, he was charged with basically one burglary at this point. That is just because of the initial charges when he was arrested. We're now linking the information that he said, tying him into the other evidence that we gathered to charge him with the other locations.
What is that evidence, Joe? Like, are we talking cash registers? Are we talking property?
It's everything. It's anything from DNA to any evidence that may have been left behind by the suspect to the evidence that we're gathering, just confirming anything that he said to us during the interview.
And as far as the wall kill, though, in terms of what's been recovered?
A cash register was
Yeah.
recovered in the Walkill, and I believe there's another cash register that we learned is also at another location in the Walkill.
Do you have a motive in terms of why he's doing this stuff?
Basically, at this time, it appears that he's not working, needs some extra spending cash, and he needs, just to come up with some extra cash.
Why were scuba divers sent out to the Walkill River? What was he
Initially,
trying to do?
initially, we sent the Ulster County Sheriff's Office dive team out because when we were checking the area that the officers followed up on, they found some stuff by the side of the Walkill River. So when that occurs, we assume that other pieces of that evidence may be in the water, and that proved to be true.
So he was tampering with evidence, he was trying to get rid of some stuff. What was he
Sure.
trying to get rid of?
Basically, he was throwing away any of the items that were taken that he did no longer need. Cash registers, once you take what's in them, you don't want to have to try to carry them around. It's usually a good clue if officers see you walking with it, so they can get rid of that as quickly as they can.
Now, this is 19 businesses, or 11?
20 total.
20 total. Is this something
That's
that?
attempts as well as confirmed burglaries.
Okay. Is this something that has really upset and worried a lot of business owners in this community?
Yes, absolutely. And there was a lot of concern, a lot of talk, what are the police doing? Which is common in any investigation when something like this happens. If an arrest isn't made immediately after the first one, the police department will get questioned, the town supervisor is going to get questioned. So we do put as much effort as possible. And again, with assistance from the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office, and the Police Department of SUNY, we work together, and that provides the manpower to also keep our costs down in the process of doing these investigations. But there is a lot of talk. We don't, unfortunately, release everything that we're working on at the time, so we don't compromise the investigation. Criminals read papers too, so we avoid giving too much information to help them out as well.
And do you have any idea when he was allegedly burglarizing these places? Was it in the evening, morning, afternoon?
They were all evenings.
All evenings.
Yeah, evenings into early morning hours.
Joe, are they all commercial too? There's no?
They were all commercial. Again, burglaries are one of the toughest cases to work because you really don't have a witness unless, again, we put out the press release last time, hoping that if somebody sees something suspicious, to call us and have us look. This opportunity that we had for the detectives and the officers to work to gather bits and pieces of evidence from each location shows that it's the same individual involved, which is, again, I give a lot of credit to the officers. The officers, with this detail that we were performing, they actually found some of the burglaries shortly after they occurred, based on the security checks, rattling doors and windows. You know, we didn't have to wait till the morning, which helps us preserve the evidence that much better.
Joe, how many separate businesses? Were they, some of these were repeats, or were they
Some
all
were
different
repeats.
businesses?
Most of them, a majority of them were separate. I think we maybe had 4 locations that were the same.
Were they all in the village? You said the town.
There were some in the town up on Main Street. There were a couple that occurred up on Main Street, going up towards the McDonald's area. I
And
believe
as
the
for
highest was up
motive-
there.
As for motive, you said that he needed cash, he's not working, but a lot of people aren't working and need cash. So was there a drug dependency? Was there something going on that made him so desperate to?
No, I believe it was just opportunity that this individual had while he was in town. I don't want to elaborate too much on you know, how he was here and what he was doing at the time, but it appears that just opportunity was a big part of it as well.
Joe, how many interviews were made in terms of other suspects, or were there other suspects?
There's numerous officers, again, were out there. I also would like to thank the public, because I know the people that are walking home from work were walking their dog. They were stopped and questioned by officers. I've received some positive letters thanking us for what we were doing, and they understand what we're doing, as well as we had a couple complaints saying, why am I being stopped again? Lieutenant Steve Ozerchuk took many calls on that and advised them that, you know, what we were doing, and they were grateful by the time the phone conversation was over. But there were numerous people interviewed, some over and over again by a different officer. So that just leads to, again, prove the work that the members were doing out there.
Were there numerous interviews of suspects or of individual,
What
you know,
I'm speaking
dog
of
walkers?
is basically everybody that was walking the streets at a certain time, whether looking to see if they know anything or looking to see how they may tie into it. This suspect that we had, that was Mr. Keller, he was interviewed by one of our officers on one of the nights. He was not detained. There was nothing at that particular time that led him to be our burglary suspect, but information from that initial conversation with him led him to become a suspect of ours.
I know you said you had surveillance. Do you have any fingerprints at any of these locations?
We have numerous pieces of evidence, ties into fingerprints, DNA. Whether they come back linking him or not is yet to be determined. That's part of the ongoing investigation. But there's just numerous things. Nobody shows up at a scene without leaving a piece of something of themselves. Whether you see on TV, it's not as easy as TV, where you find a little hair in the corner. I always like to use that as an example. But there's pieces of evidence, that's trace evidence that's left, that we helped put together to make the arrest.
Joe, the two charges, do they relate to one particular incident?
Yes, this one relates to the most recent.
Okay, and which, can you tell us which that one was, where it was?
I believe, I think we only have the first one listed here. I don't have the name of that business offhand. I can give that to you though.
Okay. The first one was the mud puddle, that was what?
Correct, that was the first one, and then from there it started, every few days. So,
What was the first one?
the first one was at the Mud Puddle Cafe in the Water Street Market. That's also on the press release.
Magdalene's Dream.
Magdalene's Dream.
Okay.
And that was the.
What
the-
date, do we have a date on that?
That was the 2nd.
Of February?
That was the 2nd of February.
And Chief, see, why was the bail set so high? There wasn't much cash stolen, with $100,000 bail, that just kind of strikes a chord, because I haven't seen bail set that high very often.
Well, I can't speak for the judge. The judge is the one that sets the bail. I believe on the fact that there was no residence listed for him. I believe that may have played a part. I also think that although there wasn't a large cash value taken, the number of businesses that he entered and the uproar from the community based on his actions, basically terrorizing the community with this burglaries. Although it's just commercial businesses, that's still people's livelihood.
Do you know how long he's been in town? Is he a resident? How far back does he go? Does he have a record?
He's a resident. I can't speak on any past record on him. However, he's been around this area for a while. His family's from this area.
Did he operate on foot or on a car?
During these times, everything, because he was by himself at the time, was on foot. Whether he had some transportation getting to town or not, we're still working on those details. However, he did not have a car, and he, at this point, does not appear that he was working with anybody else. Anything else want to say?
Gee, just one more question. You said like he might have gotten a ride to town. Was he in the New Paltz area, couch surfing right here in New Paltz, or was he going farther
Not
out?
necessarily just the village of town, the surrounding area as well. During these burglaries, he was in the area. May
Was he
not
ever
too
part of the
far.
Occupy New Paltz?
No, he wasn't, and
Okay.
I'm happy to say that, and thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
Because we did get a
We're gonna
lot
get
of
that
concern or
question.
questions saying, are they the occupiers? The occupier for New Paltz, and no, it is not. You know, they actually have been very cooperative with us as well when we do interview them, as well as everybody else. But I'm happy to say that no, it was not.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
I just want to add that when Chief Schneider talked about like the public, a lot of people being terrorized, you know, nowadays we have a lot of blogs and sharing of information, and people were getting very nasty towards the police in terms of when the police asked for help from the public and then were waiting for the public to respond, but that they weren't constantly putting out information all the time. A lot of people on the blog started taking on the police and sort of saying, what are they doing? Why can't they, you know, solve this problem? And they got very, very nasty. The police are not there to basically share information that's going to compromise their investigation. They're there to do the job and get the job done, which is what the New Paltz Police did in cooperation with the other officers, offices and whatever. So I think, you know, just it's a lesson learned that the police are out there, they're doing their job, and it's real easy to say a lot of things on blogs, but at the end of the day, the police did what they had to do, and they brought this to conclusion, and that's the most important thing, and they did a great job, and I just want to, you know, applaud all of them.
Joe, was the arrest the result of any particular, you know, request for information? You know, the sorts of things that you sent out to the papers?
No, this arrest was strictly from the officers in the street that found him as a suspect.
When was he questioned the first time, you know,
I don't have the date, I think it was only about a week prior to that, a week or two prior to that.
prior to
The
his
arrest, yes.
And was it in the town or the village on Main Street, or can you say?
He was interviewed in the village.
In the village.
You won't be able to ask those questions if we have one town.
One village, you mean?
Okay, so any other questions?
Steve, I do, because Susie was speaking at blogs, was it like a social, oh, your thing just fell. Are we talking Facebook, Facebook, what kind of social media was kind of creating a hostility towards the police?
I think it's the New Paltz blog that's created through the village government. There's a blog through the village government, I think it's called New Paltz Gov or something, I'm not sure. I mean, I got a notice, I saw something from a resident, thought it was something official, whatever, actually happened to comment on it and found out it was a blog that was created by the village government. And so information's put out on there, but then what happens is the information, instead of being put out there in a productive way to gather information, starts to take a life of its own. And in this particular case, it took a life of its own and started really going against the police very viciously. And it was interesting to read it, knowing what they were working on, because we were in constant contact and knowing that something was imminent, but they can't put that out because, you know, like they said, the perpetrators read the blogs also.
And we, as a police department, don't get involved with the blogs. Trust me, there's a lot of things that come out in them, and, you know, even members will be like, how could they say that? And blogs are what they are, and, you know, we don't respond to them. We respond to the community, and we like to respond with a great conclusion with an arrest.
I don't have a question, but I have a request. I know that you said you have some of those items, I'm assuming they're now in evidence. I didn't know if it was at all feasible to, you know, see the cash register or anything along those lines.
I'll talk to the detectives, I'll see what's available, and if you leave your card, I'll get it to them, and they'll reach out for you. Okay. As well, again, as if somebody wants a photo, I'll be happy to get one emailed out to you, just leave your card with us. Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate you all coming today. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice and a relief for everybody to get this case closed. Sue was saying, she told me, saying, as far as